Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know in the comments, do you like the hat or no hat? I would really appreciate it. I'm not trying something new. Honestly, I was just having a bad hair day, and I didn't feel like fighting with it, so I just found a matching hat with my shirt. That's about the size of it. So, anyway, today we're talking about the once great American family movie studio, that being Disney. Some revelations came out during their quarterly earnings call, and it's not looking very well for Disney right now. So, as I mentioned in a previous video, there's and what they call an activist investor who's trying to muscle in on the company. He thinks he can turn it around, and they're fighting hard. Their plan is to try to stop him at a huge investors event where they're going to ask investors to vote against him, to veto him. But it's not looking like that's going to happen, considering what we've learned from this earnings. So this is from Bounding into Comics from John Trent, which, by the way, head over there and check them out. It says Disney CEO Bob Iger admits company has to be better at curating the Disney and the Pixar and the Marvel and the Star Wars of it all. Yes, duh. So, it says that Iger said, according to Bounding into Comics, and additionally, we are going to lean more into our franchises, our core franchises, and our brands. I talked about curation in general entertainment. We have to be better at curating the Disney and the Pixar and the Marvel and the Star Wars of it all, and of course, reduce costs on everything we make. While we are extremely what's proud on the screen, it's gotten to a point where it's extraordinarily expensive. We want all the quality. We want all the quality on the screen, but we have to look at what they cost us. So we are going to continue to go after subscriptions, but we are going to be more judicious about how we do that. We are going to look carefully at pricing. We are going to reduce cost and content, and of course, infrastructure. There's a lot we're getting at there. Marketing is another area. We are going to try and rebalance marketing platform versus marketing the programs. So, and it's kind of interesting because one of the things he pointed to as a win was he noted that 10 of the films on Nielsen ratings of the top 15 streaming movies are Disney films. Encanto, Turning Red, I don't believe that one for 1 second. Hocus Pocus 2, Frozen, Luca, Zootopia, Coco, Eternals, and Frozen 2. I don't believe Eternals either. And there's just one thing there. It's not, only one of them has to do with Marvel, right? No Star Wars films at all. It's mainly their main Disney films and then a couple of Pixar films thrown in, which, by the way, Luca is a good film. I give Disney a lot of, I throw shade at a lot of Disney stuff, but Luca's actually a pretty good movie. I'll give them credit for that one. And the reason I don't believe them is this is according to Pirates and Princesses. In full disclosure, I do write for their sister site, Clownfish TV. Just wanted you to know that. I'm not trying to give them free promotion or anything, but I do write for them, and Pirates and Princesses is a good resource if you're looking for information on Disney, on theme parks in general. Anyway, just throwing that out there, shameless plug. According to Cambria Pratt, Walt Disney Company makes $23.51 billion first quarter, but did see Disney Plus subscriber loss. So probably what the bulk of that is the money from Avatar: The Way of Water, from people starting to kind of go back to the theme parks, from products, more than likely, not from Star Wars toys. We've seen those dramatically decrease, but probably from other products. So they reported on their revenue; it's gone up. But listen to this: it's saying that they went up $23 billion. That's not a lot for Disney, right? Some of their movies have made almost $1 billion previously, pre-lockdowns, right? So why are they not generating the type of numbers. And we see this with them losing subscribers. It's Disney will claim that, oh, this did very well, but then they won't provide actual numbers for it, which is another reason why I don't believe Turning Red or Eternals are actually in the top 15 streaming. Basically, 3.8 million subscribers were lost. 3.8 million. That's unheard of. Honestly, I think that some of that has to do with the streaming wars. So you've got Disney Plus. They also co-own Hulu with, I think it's CBS, or no, I'm sorry, it's Comcast. And then there's also Peacock, which is NBC. There's also Paramount Plus. There's Tubi, which is free. There's Freevee, which is free, which is owned by Amazon, which of course has Prime Video. So in this war for content, Disney just is lost in the wind. What Disney used to do is they used to kind of divide their content out for, like, say they would send some films to Netflix, put some on Hulu, maybe one or two on Tubi. Well, then when they created Disney Plus, they shorted it all in. And they did this because they bought 20th Century Fox, now just 20th Century Studios, and they just bought and they also bought Lucasfilm, which has Star Wars, and they bought Marvel Studios. And like, I actually agree with Iger. They have not curated that content well, which that's why I think they're losing those subs. No one wants to watch Obi-Wan be a depressed middle-aged Jedi. We wanted to see him epic. We wanted to see him go for it. But Kathleen Kennedy, for whatever reason, doesn't like Luke Skywalker. And I think that's going to be good. I think that's going to be bad, is what I meant to say. What I think is going to be good is if they restructure properly. But I just don't trust Disney as long as Bob Iger is still there. Everyone wants to blame Bob Chapek, so what happened was it was Bob Eisner, then Bob Iger, and he's the one who oversaw the purchases of 20th Century, Lucasfilm, and Marvel, and then they brought in Bob Chapek because Bob Iger was just going to be chairman of the board. Well, and then he eventually resigned from that. Well, then they tried to use Chapek as a fall guy, but then he did things to shore up his own power. So of course he had to go. No one in Hollywood wants an outsider. He had come from the theme parks. He didn't come from the Hollywood inside. He's a money man. Well, then now Bob Iger's back. And Bob Iger is the one who started this. Whatever you want to say about Bob Eisner, his doubling down on those direct-to-video sequels, which were terrible, his attempt to make Disney more of a global brand, he overreached a little bit. He still wanted to maintain the magic of Disney. Bob Iger is not interested in that. I even remember commercials when I was a kid. Bob Eisner inserted himself into the Disney culture. He was in commercials for Disney World and Disneyland and for a lot of their other stuff. Bob Iger is rarely seen unless he's like on a Disney cruise somewhere. So, and we're seeing the impact of this because they're cutting jobs. Again, this is Pirates and Princesses. They're cutting 7,000 jobs. 7,000. And they're saying it's to maintain revenue. Now, what I'm hoping is they're going to fire people like Kathleen Kennedy's minions in the Lucas writers' room. I hope like their Office of Diversity and Inclusion, all these meaningless things that don't really have a place in an entertainment company, all of these grandstanding political pandering that they're doing. I am hoping they fire those people, but I just don't trust Bob Iger to do the right thing. He has completely mismanaged Disney. Bob Chapek tried to right the ship and he got all kinds of stuff thrown at him. Now, he didn't do a good job. Like, I know there are some pop culture commentators who are like, oh, Bob Chapek, he was going to save Disney. No, he wasn't. He was just trying to correct some of the errors Iger had made, but he was just as invested in the political pandering as anyone else. Oh, but he edited Miss Marvel. That's because I have heard Miss Marvel as it was originally intended. It wasn't meant to be sort of a teen drama. It was meant to be kind of like a political pandering superhero show, but Chapek came in and recut it where it was more like a teen drama. That was the rumor I had heard, but still not that good, right? So these $7,000, and I do feel for these folks, because it's not going to be the managers or the executives who are running things poorly that are going to get fired. It's going to be the people at the bottom level. But again, I hope it's, people who are doing poorly, who are, like I said, are in these writing rooms, who are turning Star Wars and Marvel and Pixar into fan fiction, into serious sort of projects. And what's interesting is they've made some announcements regarding their releases, and I have to admit, I'm not impressed with a lot of them. But like, for instance, one of the things they announced was they're gonna bring an Avatar attraction to Disneyland. I think this is a bad idea. I think James Cameron is overrated, and Jacob, Avatar crossed the 2 billion threshold. Yeah, internationally, he has friends in the CCP who, who allegedly hold people at gunpoint to go see his films. Even with that, it was a flop at the Chinese box office. But I think this is a bad idea. Unless the ride is really cool, I don't think that this franchise is going to go anywhere. And so far, my prediction has been correct. I said that it won't outdo Avatar 1, but it will do enough where it'll justify a sequel. And so far, and it has made, and that's what's happened. It's going to justify Avatar 3. And I don't think Avatar 3, this is where I think it's going to go wrong. Avatar 3 is not going to do well. I think that people are going to get tired of it. He waited too long to do 2, and people went to see it out of curiosity. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I'm told, it's just a nature documentary, basically, with a little bit of story in between. So I think it's a bad idea to double down on the sort of Avatar Pandora franchise. He stole that title from a Nickelodeon cartoon. Never forget that. So apparently they're also doing sequels to Frozen, Toy Story, and Zootopia. I honestly don't get the doubling down on Frozen. The first one was a phenomenon. I went and saw it on my honeymoon. Actually, my wife and I went and saw it, and it was good. The first one was good. I do think it not as good as people say because it lacks a villain, but the music is really, I mean, like a real villain. I'm talking about, like there's no, the judge from the magistrate from a Hunchback of Notre Dame kind of villain. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, there's these two guys in the peripheral. Same with Toy Story. Why are they making number 5? 3 should have ended it totally. Zootopia, I could kind of see a sequel to Zootopia. It did have a lot of, again, it had that more political pandering messaging in it. I don't think it was enough to overthrow the film, but because it's an animation feat, it looks fantastic. But we'll see. I guess those shorts did better than they accepted. They're just a little embarrassed by it. They're also saying they're going to focus more on cheaper content, as I mentioned earlier. So I have a feeling we're going to see more things like the shorts, like Star Wars Visions, which I'm actually excited for. That's one thing Disney is doing that I am excited about. But we'll see. One thing I am concerned is there've been rumors, and a couple of websites have commented on this, that they're going to try to double down on Rey and Grogu. So Rey being from the Disney sequels, and then Grogu from The Mandalorian. Now, Disney Star Wars has done exactly 3 things right: Rogue One, The Mandalorian, and 4 Star Wars Visions. Everything else is garbage. Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, Han Solo, the sequel trilogy. I guess Bad Batch has been kind of mediocre. I had high expectations for that, and I've been sorely disappointed. I haven't seen Tales of the Jedi yet, but it just feels like Disney doesn't like the main stars of Star Wars. They want to try to make their own legacy. Well, what's interesting about that is Jon Favreau showed them how with The Mandalorian, right? I'm excited to see Ahsoka. So in the first season of Clone Wars, I thought her character was annoying. I hated her. However, after season 2, her character did grow on me. I did enjoy her performance on screen. The voice actress who voiced Ahsoka is really good. I like Rosario Dawson as the adult Ahsoka. I do wish they would give her the right headdress. She still has the teen and child headdress that her species wears, but whatever. It's nitpicky. There's also rumors that they're thinking about making Luke Skywalker a member of the LGBTQ community. Why? More political pandering, more pandering to this social media mob that doesn't actually care about these franchises. They don't care about their modern myths. What I would like to see, if I was Disney, and it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, right? But if I was Disney, I would turn Lucasfilm over to Favreau and Filoni, and I would let them do their thing. I would bring back John Lasseter. Even if I have to buy Skydance Studios, I would bring back John Lasseter to take over Pixar. They laid off a bunch of his workers, and then of course he hired them for Skydance because Skydance is getting into animation, and they replaced those workers with again social media mobsters who don't actually care about Pixar. So they need to bring Lasseter back, bring back all his people, let him right the ship with Marvel. I think Kevin Feige has probably run his course. I think they need to put someone in who is, again, connected with the fans. And Favreau used to be, when he was in charge of the X-Men franchise in the early 2000s, it was good. When he was starting to take over Paramount, it was good. But when he got that hold of that Disney money, it changed him. And sometimes money does that. I don't think we're going to see anything more. I don't think we're going to see anything that we want more from future announcements. I think it's going to be stuff that we're going to roll our eyes out. Like I said, the only thing I'm excited for as far as Star Wars is Ahsoka in season 2 of Star Wars Visions. And I guess technically Andor season 2, but I'm waiting for the trailer before I, jump up and down. I am sort of excited for Mandalorian season 3, but Book of Boba Fett kind of let me down. So, I'm not excited for anything Marvel is doing. I was excited for Daredevil Born Again until I heard who is writing it, which, look these folks up. It's all people who have done failed television shows, who have written for shows that have been canceled after 1 or 2 seasons and that got no views. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't get why they just didn't bring back the writers and the producers of Netflix and just said, hey, fit it into the MCU and make it not as dark. That's all they need. They just needed to lighten the tone a little bit. I mean, I would say Andor is a little darker, but whatever. It is what it is. And I think we're going to see more things like, say, like Andor was affected by how bad Obi-Wan was. No one wanted to watch Andor, even though, in my opinion, it was a good show, but no one wanted to watch it because they had been let down by Obi-Wan, by Solo, by Bad Batch being mediocre. It's been a rough ride for Star Wars fans, and same with Marvel. Even if Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is fantastic, no one's going to give a crap because because they've been let down. They were let down by the Eternals. They were let down by Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. They were let down by Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's all of this balancing act, and they're failing at it. And they need to wake up soon. But judging from rumors I've heard, it's not. And I won't go into. I'm not against reporting rumors. I just don't unless I hear it from someone that I appreciate. But from rumors that I'm hearing, it's not looking good. I don't think we're going to get a good announcement, and especially with Tom Holland, going back and forth on returning as Spider-Man. I don't think if he doesn't come back, I think unless they make like this huge announcement on who the actor is, it's not going to work. What they really need to do is they need to bring back Johnny Depp, pay him the money he's asking for, let him be in Pirates of the Caribbean. They need to let Favreau and Filoni do their thing. They need to maybe let someone else take over the MCU, someone who actually knows the material and whatnot. That's how you can right the ship. But I just don't see Bob Iger or the powers that be at Disney doing that because they've bought too much into that social media mob that again doesn't care about any of these franchises. They don't care about, maybe they care about Zootopia, but that's the only thing. They're not watching Pixar films. They're not watching Star Wars. They're not watching Marvel. They're not watching Nat Geo. They're not doing any of that. They don't care. And they need to wake up. Now I will say one rumor that I've heard that I think is delicious. So supposedly Disney is considering selling off Star Wars. Wouldn't it be hilarious if George Lucas just bought it back? He just turned around and used the $1 billion or however much he got from that sale, and he just buys it right back, and he does his own sequel trilogy. I think that would be delicious. But anyway, who knows? Like I said, it's not looking great if you're whether you're just a casual Disney fan like me, you like the stuff on the peripheral, you like their franchises, or if you're what they call a Disney adult. It's not looking good for us. We're going to have to really make our voices known with our wallets. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment, tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to Studio Jake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.